Hello everyone, welcome to the Yissilmissil Productions channel. My name is Steven Yissil, and today, let's talk about it. Happy Father's Day. Whether you still have your father today or not, there's always Heavenly Father Creator to be thankful for. I'll be calling my father today, wishing him a happy Father's Day. If you're lucky enough to still have the opportunity to do so, I suggest you do that. So how y'all doing? I'll wait for Maria to file in here. So it's been a very good, productive week. We've been on schedule with all of our shows, as well as building out the membership-only content. Hey Jason, good to see you. Yeah, we had a really good week, especially with Thursday's Bermuda Triangle show. I did an overhaul on the entire intro, and the live stream format's also been upgraded. I'm spending a lot more time on presentation, so I hope you all are appreciating that. It makes it a lot more fun for me to do. And I'm trying to make each show different. So, for example, this one, we've kind of gone into the Matrix here. But I'll probably change this up in a few weeks. But for now, we're going to keep it like this. I know last week I was sharing a lot of information, especially pertaining to those wanting my videos. They haven't said anything, so I think they've gotten bored, which is good. They need to leave me alone. I think it's foolish and silly for people to want to purchase the Tom Malthouse interviews. But I know what it's all about. It's about control. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody from their camp too, just wanting them off the internet. But everything stays up, including the deep dives and everything. And also a note for everybody here. If you have suggestions on how you'd like shows to improve, or you have suggestions on what I could do differently, you can do so constructively. But if you're not even subbed to this channel, and you're like going on like part 17 of one of my shows and telling me that all these negative things as a front load, I'm just going to delete the comments and ban you from commenting on my channel. Because I don't have time for that. That's also a form of control, by the way. You have people that aren't happy that I'm producing as much content as I am, and they want to slow me down a bit. But that ain't happening here. I still would like to do 7 shows a week, 1 every day. But I'm trying to find a good middle ground here to make sure that I'm not overworking myself by producing that much content too quickly. But there are a lot of different deep dives now that it's more than 3. Like, we have currently 3 running, and I had 3 more that I was planning, but now it's more than 3. So some days, by the end of July probably, I'll be doing 2 shows a day. And it's just to help get this channel out. It's so shadow banned, it's not even funny. There's not much I can do about it. I've been starting to use location tags. So all of my videos are going to be tagged for Chicago, Illinois, even though I'm outside of Chicago. It's seeming to help. Yesterday's Chicago film industry deep dive, they got the most views in quite a long time. And I think that was due to the location tagging. But that show's about to end in 2 weeks. I'll shift the focus to other film industry related things regarding Chicago. But the Chicago Film Industry series as a whole, that's going to wrap up and complete on the 28th of this month. And really, I could wrap it up next week, but I'm trying to space it out to really absorb the content. Because, like, I'm learning with all of this, just like you guys are. I'll pull the book out here again real quick. Yeah, like, we have an epilogue where it goes into the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. Still talking about Selig in the 1930s. And then the last part on the 28th, that's going to cover the postscript. And it's going to be covering Oscar Michaud. I think I'm saying that right. Oscar Michaud and Orson Welles. And that's also going to be covering the 1920s, 1930s, and even goes up into the 1960s as a, well, it's called, the section of the book's called a postscript. So it's an epilogue after the epilogue. And then we also have Appendix A, Selig Polyscope's pointers on picture acting. I'm going to include that in the show on the 28th. As well as Appendix B, which is a complete list of the remaining Chicago shot films and where to see them. So that's covering the ones that survived. And that's sadly only 3 pages. There's also Appendix C, which will have censored scenes from Chicago films that were noted in local newspapers. And that's about 2 pages. So, after I finish this Flickering Empire book, that'll be it for the deep dive. But I do have other Chicago-related film industry stuff to cover. So I'm probably just going to start a new series with that. Got Hollywood on Lake Michigan. Then I have more Hollywood history books. One of them is called When Hollywood Had a King. So I'm just taking my time with all that. We're eventually going to be doing the fiat currency deep dive, which I think that's going to be a members only release to start off. And then that'll be available to everyone after like a few weeks. But the Smith deep dive, it's going to be a character analysis. And I'm going to be doing that for Jay here, our first member of the channel. And the only way that you're going to be able to watch that for the foreseeable future is if you become a member. Because that's a character analysis that I've been holding off on producing. But it was requested of me, and due to the overwhelming support of Jay here, so I haven't had as much support as from a single individual as Jay through this channel. So that is my gift to him, doing that character analysis. And then we also have the Great Lakes Triangle, which will be probably on the same day as the Bermuda Triangle series. That'll be one where I double up. Or I just have it on Friday and keep Bermuda Triangle on Thursdays. I'm still debating what I'm going to do with that. I'm removing a tag from a book here. From that Flickering Empire book. See, I'm finished with it now. But it's... I'm wrapping up the series, so... It'll be a reference book for me from this point forward. Or should I say after the 28th. And the Coral Castle series is going to keep going. I don't see that stopping anytime soon, because there's a lot of content to cover in that. I definitely see it going past 30 parts. And, you know, if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's why I try to make every deep dive its own experience. That way it's not boring. You know? I'm doing my best here. But you know what they say. Other than that, no news is good news. Hey Joel, good to see you. How's the weather over there? Oh yeah, and about this series, I'll continue doing these every Sunday. Some days there won't be all the online drama and whatever BS people are trying to throw my way with my previous interview series. But I think I put that to rest last week. So I don't want to retread things too much. I want to be able to move along. And I'll revisit topics when I think is necessary. What else? We got Gravity Hills, which will be a deep dive. And surprisingly, Gravity Wells came up. I might have to do its own deep dive on Gravity Wells. And those are two different concepts. Gravity Hills they're tourist attractions in the US right now. You put your vehicle into neutral on this hill, and it moves up the hill. Gravity Wells, I have to look into more, but it's a totally different concept. The fiat currency deep dive. The very first thing I want to do with that is read End the Fed by Ron Paul, which I nearly read that entire book on my own several years ago, but I want to read it in a deep dive format here on this channel so that people start to get an idea of what we're dealing with financially, not only in the US but around the entire world here. Very good, Joel. Joel says, nice weather today, my friend. That's good. Yeah, it's good here, too. There's a little cloud cover. Let's actually see real quick what we got here. Yeah, it's 75 and a little sunny here. So exactly a month from today, I'll be close to home or on my way home from Texas. I'll be spending nearly a week in Texas next month. I'll be leaving on the 9th of July. And I'll be getting to Texas by the 10th, staying through the 14th. Basically have to be home by the night of the 15th. So I started trying to push my eBay store into overdrive last month, but things didn't really pick up until this month. So the past 2 weeks have been killer. It's been awesome with the sales, but I need more sales, eBay. I've been saying that to my phone because I know they're listening in. Funny thing about that, my mom and my uncle went strawberry picking, and yesterday my mom was putting them in this apple cider vinegar soak to get rid of all the dirt and pests off the wild strawberries. And Facebook, late last night, displayed 2 of 3 previews of reels to me regarding strawberries. So you know those fuckers on Facebook and Meta are listening in. Because I didn't search on my phone for any of that stuff. I didn't search on my... Well, I'm not logged in on Meta, anything on my desktop. But, I don't even think I brought that over. Like, I'm thinking Meta uses the iPhone. Because I wasn't even... My Android phone wasn't even by me when I was speaking about strawberries. Or handling the strawberries. It was over, like, I want to say Meta takes the other users that are friends with you and tries to see if there's anything Like if you're in proximity, and then they use whatever data that they harvest to market to you. Jay says, I am going to tell my phone I need a better job. Yeah. And you know, also, it's like it's a two birds, one stone thing. Not only are you're messing with the algorithms on your phone, but you're also speaking your wants into existence. So it's a lot easier to get things done that way. Yeah, I thought that was really weird last night with the Facebook Reels. Because I don't even bring my phone with me around the house. I usually leave it where it's at. Here in my room. What am I to do? And Meta's done that before. And they have these lawsuits that they pay out. They do settlements and all that. So it's funny how they can break laws and then just give up $1 billion and call it a day, right? It's not like it hurts them. Then they write stuff off on their taxes, you know. You'd figure by now these companies would be bankrupt with all the laws that they've broken regarding privacy. But no, they're still running strong. But since I know my phone's listening in right now, Walmart, your days are numbered. Yeah, Joel says, my bloody phone is always listening, like you say, bruv, money games. Yeah, I keep telling my phone, like, eBay, it's not enough. I need more sales. I need more sales, eBay. You're not giving enough. And, I mean, I've had an uptick of sales, but it's not enough, eBay. So you always got to be on your feet. This may seem silly to some people, but this is the reality of things. We're being monitored constantly. Whether it's in the background or if there's an actual person listening in, I think it's more of a background thing. They pick up keywords and then that gets fed into the algorithm of advertising. And who knows what else? Government databases. Oh, so last week's Let's Talk, I brought up the Philadelphia experiment. I do want to cover that topic too. It's more of an event, and it's documented that it existed, so I really want to dive into that as well. We'll see how that turns out. Again, I'm trying not to overwhelm myself by overproducing things, but I'm inspired right now. I want to continue producing content. I'm inspiring others that I am friends with that are also content creators, editors, so I want to be able to continue inspiring people, getting people to think. I really feel like this is Kino content. You know, it's good for the soul. It's good for the mind. So, I'll continue on this path that I'm taking. I also want to cover more thoroughly these UFO incidents. So, that'll be probably broken up into different formats as we go along here. got the book Intruders by Bud Hopkins. I got Link by Jonathan Reed. I have some Graveyards of Chicago books, but those are written by Ursula Bielski, which I know I'd said on Abe's show who that lady was, but she was known by several people close to her that she did seances in that cemetery near Chicagoland here. She had the cloak to go in the middle of the night and do the seances and all that. Not good. And then I'm going to have to try to find the Chicago Mothman book again. Because, what was it? Shadows and Monsters? Here, I'm looking it up real quick. But there's an author that collected all of these different accounts of the Chicago Mothman. And I just want to cover that as well here, because that's been a phenomenon going on over 10 years now. Yeah, Joel says the witchcraft stuff. Yeah, that's Ursula Bielski. So, I think actually she was the one that did the Chicago Ghost Tours for a while, which I was a teenager when my family went on one of those, and I refused to go. My family was really upset with me that I stayed home. But they apparently caught something, some apparition. I still remember the photograph. They have it somewhere. It's buried somewhere in our photographs. If I ever find it, I'll show it here on the channel. But if I were to take a wild guess just right now, I'd say it was some bodiless entity. Just bad mojo stuff. I don't want to deal with that. I used to go chasing ghosts before. I don't do that anymore. I also have the Ingrid Bergman books, 1900 or The Last President, and the two Baron Trump books. One of them, these are like from the 1890s, but one of them's called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. It explores the concept of Hollow Earth, so... But apparently it's a fictional story. But Baron Trump. And then 1900 or The Last President, that's a pamphlet book. But it talks about riots and protests after the presidential election. And the book starts out on the same street where Trump has buildings in New York. And again, take this into account, this was written over 100 years ago. And I haven't looked at those books at all yet. That was when I was in acquisition mode, just getting all of these different books and literature that I wanted to look into one day. And now that day is almost here. I also have an older Abraham Lincoln book, Stories and Speeches. That'll dispel a lot of the myths about the Civil War. And I'd like to read that in its entirety here too, because that was an acquisition I got from a thrift shop in Las Vegas, surprisingly enough. And that was either 2018 or 2019, I believe. It might have been 2019. But this book was like in a curio cabinet made of glass. So, like, you had to call the shop owner over to have her unlock it. And it was the only book there that caught my attention. But I like these older books. I feel most of them tend to not be edited quite yet, so looking into what Lincoln was actually saying during those times, I think it'll paint a much different picture for everybody. Because ultimately, my current stance on the American Civil War is that it occurred so that the North would not lose its tax revenue of the majority farm South. They would have lost all agriculture taxes. The North very well may have collapsed into the Confederacy just from the loss of taxes alone. I don't think the North would have been able to support itself, especially with it trying to develop the way that it did. But we still don't know the full details and history of our country here. We have buildings in Washington State and Oregon, too, that are just all along the West Coast. Massive buildings. Go look at, also up in Canada, the city of Ottawa. It's a massive building that looks like a cathedral in the city center. It's like these things were built a very long time ago. And I believe they were built before this current settlement with this current government. And that's probably closer to the truth than anything. I also have a few Chicago history books from my time at Columbia College, Chicago. I don't know if I'm gonna get into those just yet. A lot of it's romanticized stuff. I don't want to deal with that. You know, it's just... I want to deal with the facts. Not what people thought it could have been. That's why I enjoy reading the Flickering Empire book with the Chicago film industry deep dive. Because we're getting facts of when these production companies were running, who ran them, what they produced, how the interactions were between the actors and the film crews, as well as the studio owners. I think we get a much better perspective on things by learning about those timelines and the interactions between the people that lived during those times. But the further back you go, the more foggy it gets. And it's just unfortunate. So much of our history has been lost. But for what's still intact, I want to be able to bring it to all of you so that you have that information and knowledge. And hopefully all you can expand on it at your leisure in the future. Just like how some of these other channels in the early days of YouTube led me down these, I guess I'll say it, the rabbit holes. And they led me to where I am today, just looking into the energy grid of the Earth and the magnetics. Looking at the architecture. Oh, and I have a whole bunch of books covering the wild man and Bigfoot out in the east coast of the US. And it expands a little more beyond that area. But Timothy Renner is the author of those books. Those are fairly new. And I'm more comfortable reading these older books because they've already been out there for quite a while. So I feel like their lifespans in the public eye have ran its course. So that's why some of these, like Flickering Empire, this was 2014, 2015, so it's been 10 years already on this one. '15, so 10-year-old book. I'd say it kind of ran its course now, and that's the most recent book that I'm reading on the channel. Then you got 2004 for the current Bermuda Triangle book we're reading on the channel. We got the Energy Grid. It's also a much older book than that for Coral Castle. But I think for now I'll stick to these older books. But I don't think I'm doing anything wrong reading these chapter by chapter and giving my opinions while I read them. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not like I'm doing one entire live stream, reading the book in its entirety, and calling it a day. I would have more of an issue with that instead of just breaking it up like I am. Because doing it chapter by chapter, putting it in different parts, I think that's a lot safer creatively for me. And yes, I'm aware I'm reading other people's words and creating content out of it, but I don't think I'm stepping out of bounds doing what I'm doing. Especially with having the music soundtrack in the background, giving a visual presentation as well. I think all of that comes into play. Yeah, I have an entire shelf of Civil War books. Really, I'd have like 4 or 5 shelves, but right now I'm in my more constricted years of acquiring personal books here. It'll flip. I'll get back to picking up a lot of literature that I want in my personal library here. But we got to get through what we have here already. I have a bunch of photography books. I'd actually like to do some sort of master class series on photography. And video formats throughout the years, like covering Betamax, like personal home video formats I want to cover as its own mini series. That I can only see going like 3 to 5 parts. And then I want to also cover the books of Edgar Cayce, because I think he has some really fascinating concepts. And after I do the character analysis of Agent Smith from the Matrix trilogy, I think I can do an analysis of the story of the trilogy. Maybe a few other character analyses from that. But it would mostly be centered around the first film, because really I think the sequel's focused on Smith the most. So that's why I feel like that's the most comfortable one to look at. But I think it's very relevant to today's culture. And I'm being very guarded with how I talk about all that, because the concepts that I came up with in analyzing these characters, I don't think they've been talked about. Awesome. Jay says, I'm really enjoying the Bermuda Triangle deep dive. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, that one's my most heavily produced one as of right now, and I've gotten very comfortable with my presentation. I think I've hit my stride with that one now. And yeah, thank you. It's like I picked up that Great Lakes Triangle book, and it's just going to continue expanding out. But Lake Superior, I think, is the main center of attention with the Great Lakes Triangle. I have a bunch of shipwreck books too that I picked up from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I made a trip up there based off a Craigslist post. I guess somebody passed on. The house was sold or was in the process of being repainted, worked on. So all of this literature was kept in the garage, and I went on a rainy day. I picked up a lot of vinyl records that were left, whatever was left, because I don't think I was the first person to stop by. But they had a lot of naval books, U.S. Navy, and a lot of books pertaining to the Great Lakes. So I picked up quite a few books on different ships, some of them that had shipwrecks, others that are notorious in good and bad ways. But I'll probably throw those into the Great Lakes Triangle series. And again, I'm thinking the Great Lakes Triangle series, that'll be available to members only at first, and then I'll release it as a general public video after so long. But the Bermuda Triangle series is going to remain free to everyone. So I'm going to continue putting that out weekly. Well, let's look at the calendar here real quick. So I've been saying like these next 2 weeks are going to be it. But I think through the first week of July, I'll be able to continue producing content. So probably July 6th will be the last deep dive. I won't be having one on July 13th because I'll be in Texas. And that Sunday is my free day to do whatever my uncle and myself please. So that'll be a good one. Just real quick here. Jason H says, I just made some French toast. Haven't had it in a long time. That's good. Yeah, I had French toast earlier this week. Made out of sourdough bread. That was real good. It was a nice lean breakfast. I enjoyed that. Natural maple syrup's also very good to have with it. Joel says, sounds like a good plan, bro. Thank you. Yeah, I think we're going to be covering a lot of cool stuff here. And again, you guys can watch it at your leisure. That's what it's intended for. But, you know, as a content creator, I hope you guys are here for all the lives, but I know you guys are busy too. There's only so much time we can give to certain topics, and we have our own lives to run. So you are all forgiven. You're given a pass. Just as long as you come back. That's why I ask people to subscribe. Put the notification bell on so that at least when you're logged into YouTube, it'll show you the new videos. Honestly, on my other channel that I have not built out yet, it's not named Yissilmissil, but my other channel that used to be my private account, and I had to get the music back on here. So my other private account, I have so many subs on that, I don't even look at them. Like the past couple of weeks, it's just been doing my own research here for the content I'm producing here and trying to get to other videos that people have sent me to look into. Alright, yeah, I had to adjust the volume here. Sorry, guys. Jason H says, I've been looking into other vortexes. They are all over. I don't know why they are always a triangle. Yeah. Yeah, Jason, if, you know, I think I still have this up here. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to share a really cool website in the chat here. Alright. Have fun with that link, Jason. Hey, Texas, good to see you. Yeah, Texas says usually I make it about half the lives of what I follow. Yeah, and I've had to purge a lot of stuff too over the years. I used to follow video gamers doing Let's Plays. Like, I just don't have the time for that anymore. I used to follow this one guy that did that Super Mario Maker, but just after a while, it's just it consumes so much time. So you really got to pick and choose what you're following, what you're looking into, what you're choosing to give your time toward. Yeah, Jason, so the link I put in the chat here, maps.leylines.net, that has a very comprehensive look into all the ley lines around the Earth, and it uses the globe model, but it displays that there's 12 major points. 1 and 2 on the top and bottom, 5 around the upper part, 5 around the lower part, and on one of the 5 in the upper part is where the Bermuda Triangle is at. Being so many cross sections, it's a point that has a bunch of cross sections of ley lines, and there's only 12 major ones around, and that's one of them. So that area is definitely high activity of some sort. So if you're on the website, there should be a search bar on the left side, and underneath the search bar it says Explore Data. Click on that, and then it should open up another box, and the first thing on the left side should say ley lines. Oh man, there's so many different ones here. I don't know how I ended up using this before. Alright, let's just see. But yeah, they have all these folders. You go in the global ley lines. It says UVG grids, pole M UVG grids, gravity well grid, great circles, pyramids of the world. There's a lot of different data points you could add to this. Let's see here. I'm just going to say add to the map. Yellow landlines. Man, so I don't know what I did before, but I ended up having all the data sets. Just, I populated everything on it. I don't know how I did that. Yeah, because this is looking a lot different than what I was using before. But I got the main ones up. But actually, let me do a screen share here. I haven't done this in a while. That way you guys can see what I'm actually talking about here. All right. There, that's better. Okay. So this is actually covering gravity wells, which I was saying I wanted to do a whole thing on that. See, there's a major one here by Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Green Bay is... Where's Green Bay at? It's up here. Green Bay's up here. I could have sworn it was where Fond du Lac is. Right by Lake Winnebago. I guess not. Man, that's really up there. So I actually drove from down here all the way up to Green Bay one year. I think that was 2018. Yeah, let's zoom out here real quick. So you see there's a triangle here. Boom. But it's a little different from what we're covering. But the concept's still the same. And then you see there's this grid point here. Let me see if I could populate this map again like I did before. But you see, you click Explore Data. You can go into Global Ley Lines. Let's see what this does. Yeah, see, here's another area. See, there's another type of triangle. I don't know how I had it all populated before. But yeah, you can play around with this stuff all day, find different things. See, they got stuff all for the UK right there. Earth magnetic field anomaly grid. Let's see that one. Let's add it to the map. Whoa. And I'm going to remove these other ones for right now. I don't even know what I'm looking at. See that though? At the top there's nothing. Why is there no magnetics there? And here's a better visual. So where's Bermuda at? It's not even on the map. Oh, it's right there. Town Hill. St. George's. Yeah, okay. You don't hear about this island too much, do you? It's in the middle of nowhere. Jason says Santa is cloaking his crib. You mean Satan? Yeah, look at that. Then we go over here. So basically the light purple is high magnetics. The deep purple is negative magnetics. Oh. Check that out. I'm just looking over the area where I reside. I'm over in here. So it's pretty low magnetics here. It's probably due to the people. You see all around it, the suburbs, then the lake. There's all different pockets. So down here there's low magnetics, but this is right, this is probably, the theory is this is where the prehistoric glaciers ended with the melting that created the Great Lakes. Texas, I don't know exactly how I had that one. I don't know how I got that to show us what we were looking at when I was on Abe's show. Let's see here. I'll try again. Yeah, I'm not sure how I got that to even populate the way that it did. Maybe vortex maps? Nah. This just is a list of books. Which it might be, all of these might be added to my deep dive series, which will be incredible if I put that in there with the Coral Castle stuff. That'll be a never-ending series. We'll be in like part 200 and still covering some of this material. And there's some people who just don't have the patience to look through all this, or just the time in general. So I'm not too surprised. Man, see, we can put all these ancient maps up on here. Look at this. Piri Reis map. A lot of this doesn't even make sense. Why would it show little tiny lakes here when Lake Michigan's actually a lot larger? Yeah, Jason, it's a very vast site. I don't even... Some of these I don't even know where to begin with. Oh, this is what I did. I went to this Becker-Hagen's UVG grid, and I just added everything, I think. But it was all here by itself. I didn't even need to do anything. So what, did it change from the last time I looked at it? They made it more difficult to look at? Let's see. Because I don't think I had to go in here like this before. It was like all available, and you could make it visible or invisible. Cubes, yin, yang. Yeah, these all look familiar, but like these were all populated already before I even did anything. So here is a little better view. This is similar to what we were looking at before. Do you see that? Something's going on here. Let me fix the opacity of this. There we go. Yeah, Texas, there's so much data here. You really need to know what you're looking into in order for it to be beneficial to you. Yeah, but I'm just barely getting into all this here. I just know there's two major lines right here that go... I'm like right in the middle of them. More like right here. So I'm on this line. Somewhere in the yellow on this side. But Denver, I've been to Denver several times, and they were talking about how this ley line, see, they're on one. It's actually pretty close to them. They're in the blue. But think of these things like magnetic tape, like VHS tapes. Well, yeah, just look at this for Antarctica here. Besides, that's the opposite end of the north. Supposedly. But you see what I'm saying? The bottom. So there's 12 points in total here. One in the center, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then if we're to, I mean, you could possibly count this one, and this one, and this one. But if we're looking from the top, here's another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've just been basing all my stuff off of that. Then you got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are what, like, there's 4 of them here. 1, 2. Oh, there's a lot more than just that. But I'd be doing a lot of my research right on this one. There's just so much information on it. I really don't know how I had it populate the way it did on Abe's show. So if you missed that, just look for like the 6-hour shows that I did on spiritual and cryptid encounters. It's almost like we were only allowed to look at all this stuff on those shows. And then that's it, because this all looks different now. But yeah, there's these books that I would like to look into as well. But you know how much time this is going to take? I'm not complaining, I'm just being realistic. Like, this is going to take so long for me to look through. Maybe we can start with the US vortexes and Stonehenge. American ley lines. That's 3 books right there. Do you see that? I can get all the books for 116 bucks. Which that's really not bad. You know what? I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna make this an official goal here. If we get like 10 more members on the channel, I'll go ahead, I'll purchase this whole set. And see, we don't want the ebooks. We want the books here. Although these might just be ebooks, unfortunately. It looks, they say it's books. So we get the Earth Gaia Matrix book. And then the rest are ebooks, okay. So still, we'll be able to read them on here when that time comes. But in the meantime, we'll be doing all of the physical books. But it's a lot of content. Whew. But all this is related to the different deep dives I'm currently doing. And we've been going a little over an hour here. So I don't have too much to talk about today. This is, again, a general chill stream. We're just hanging out. That's what Let's Talk's all about. We're here to talk about it, anything. Yeah, Texas, I don't think I need to read through them all. I'd rather be focused on these different deep dives. So if it pertains to stuff relating to Coral Castle, then I'll obviously add it to everything, but I have my hands full with it as is. There's no need to expand any further right now. Like, we're reading through the energy grid. We're only this far on, so like you see here, we're only about almost a third of the way through. But near the end of this book, it does talk about Coral Castle. So it pertains to the deep dive. And so that's why we're going through all of this material. And you get all of the grids. And again, you see there. That point is relevant to both Coral Castle and Bermuda Triangle. But these ones on the top and the bottom, that's what I was talking about. You have 5 on the bottom. Looks like they have more on the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But then you have the top and bottom poles. But you see how some of them are colored black and some of them are white or transparent? So they're saying like these black ones were more important than the other ones. And that's what I'll be covering on Tuesday. It's the maps of the ancients. Russians and Germans discover a world grid system. Tesla, the forgotten genius, which my thoughts are constantly changing on Tesla here. There's speculation out there that Tesla wasn't even a person. But yeah, with this current energy grid book, it's covering a lot of different systems, a lot of concepts that, I mean, they're somewhat difficult to digest at times, especially with all the mathematics involved. But it presents it in a way where you can, it's palatable. As long as you're not looking at all of these number grids constantly. That's why I like doing this once a week. And it's a lot easier on the mind. The harmonic 695, the pulse of the universe. You see, just on the back of this book, it has all these other books to look into. Stuff that'll probably get my channel taken down, right? It hasn't happened yet, but this is all speculation. This is all research. We're not practicing any of these concepts, really. We're just exploring them. Yeah, Tesla will be another person to look into. Actually, I'd like to look into Edison and Tesla a lot more. But we covered a lot of Edison with the Chicago film industry deep dive. But I'd like to learn a little more about his bidding war to get electricity at the Chicago World's Fair of 1893. Yeah, there's a lot of extra information that I'd like to look into. And that would be stuff I'd do off of the channel. So I want to present stuff here that is worth your time. Like, I don't want to bring you down a side trail where we're just winging it, looking into whatever. I like having these deep dives that are specific, and we just get into greater detail on those specifics. That way we have direction, and we're not venturing too far off into other topics and conversations. But I do think we're dealing more with density of objects and formations of the Earth rather than gravity. I think it has much more to do with density. But all of this will be keeping me busy for well into the fall. Especially the Bermuda Triangle series. There's much more content with Coral Castle, with the energy grid stuff, as I just showed you on here in the back of this book. But those would be ones that I would be reading on my own before I get into them here on the channel. I already know, like, this one was recommended through the original Coral Castle book that we were reading. And that's why I'm just like, all right, we're going to jump right into these books and see what we can find. But anything that goes outside of that realm that might be related, but it's very loosely related, that's where I'll do the research beforehand and see if it's worth adding to any of these deep dives. Yeah, Jay says, if Tesla is not human, then neither is Ed. And Jason said, some say he's from Venus, Tesla. Yeah, who knows? I certainly don't have the answers. I'm simply looking for them. Oh. Okay. I thought I was still sharing the ley line screen here. So yeah, Jay, I'll definitely have that Smith video ready by the end of the month. So within 2 weeks, I'll have that ready for you. And again, I'm going to make that a members only video for Jay to enjoy. And for any new people that join to be a member of the channel, that'll be available for you to watch too. And I'll keep that as exclusive content. I have to make a paywall. I'm sorry. That's just how it's going to be. I need to make incentives for other viewers of the channel to invest time into what I'm doing here. And I know all of you that are watching right now, thank you. I know you're contributing your time too. And thank you for engaging in the chat and everything. But I need to take different approaches to this content creation. This is my career. I've been doing this for well over 20 years now. And I've tried many different avenues with, from small time gigging to working on film sets, and then over the past 5 years doing live streams. It's just been a long journey, but it's not like I just started this last year. Okay, like I have an extensive film industry background. I've studied the film industry in depth. I've learned how to do 35 millimeter photography. I've learned how to shoot on 8 millimeter and 16 millimeter film. In my teenage years, that's when the digital shift happened. Everything started going digital. So I was able to see both sides of film production and video production. And today we're here with the live streaming, and it's just, this is all personalized now. And I think that's how it's going to be for the next several years, is people are going to start gravitating toward people and what they're producing as content. Thank you, Jay. Jay says, that's exciting. I love your Matrix enthusiasm. I'm so into the entire Matrix subject. Yeah. I really got into looking into the Matrix in like the beginning of 2003, when they were ramping up all the promotional material for the sequels. It was like, let's just binge the first film over and over again and come up with concepts and theories. And I was on the lastfreecity.net. It was an old message board. People would share all their ideas on there. It was really cool, and that site's no longer up. It's real sad. It's not on the Internet Archive either. But that's where I would hang out in the early 2000s. And I went to the world premiere for Revolutions. That was like the fall of 2003. It was like November 2003, right? So for that film, what Warner Brothers did, they had it a worldwide release time and date. So on the same day, at the same time around the world, it premiered. So it was like 7 o'clock in the morning here. I missed school for that. Yeah, Jason says most people our age have never even touched film. Yeah, I've cut film with a razor blade. It's a lost art for sure. And splicing it with the special tape that has the sprockets on the edges of them. It's very tailored. Like that, the whole film industry has its very niche things. When I was at Columbia College, we were doing projects on the Bolex wind-up film camera. And so they'd be in little, like, reels about this big. And you'd get about, I want to say, like 10 minutes. It's either like 5 or 10 minutes worth of film on that. Or Might even be less than that. Because I've done... I don't know. I have the film canisters up on display here. But those might say the amount of footage on each reel. But I've done projects where I've had 4 reels, 2 color, 2 black and white. And that ended up, after having like 2-3 takes at a time per shot, like we ended up coming up with a 3 to 5 minute edited final film. And that was with the film transferred digitally. And then I think the way they did it was they transferred it to VHS. And this was like back in 2009, 2010. They were still transferring to VHS. And then you ingested that VHS footage from the film into Avid, which, again, Avid is ridiculous to use. I don't know why it's an industry standard. They began with linear editing. So if you did edits and then found out you messed up early on, you'd have to undo all of that work to go fix that error and then redo all of that if you wrote it down and continue on. And I just did not like that process. Adobe had Adobe Premiere, which was non-linear editing. You could jump all over the timeline. Like, you could edit something an hour ahead and then come back to where you were at the beginning and everything would be there. You wouldn't have to undo any work. But with Avid, you had to undo the work if you needed to go fix something. So I felt that was really constraining in terms of creativity, and I didn't want to go forward with that and using those programs. And now, like, the pro wrestling industry, they're looking for editors that have like 5 years of experience in Avid. It's like that excludes me, because I didn't spend 5 years in Avid because it was limited creatively. Now I believe Avid has non-linear editing, but it's like too little too late. It's unfortunate it's industry standard. Jay says, I did a year of black and white photography in high school. Best year ever. Yeah, dude. I took all 4 years I took photography. And I think it was only on the last year, they started having us introduced to color. We were still doing black and white in the 4th year. We were mastering a lot of that. I have 2 bookshelves just right here of black and white photography and different types of photography, how to do all of that. And one day, like I said, I'll do a master class video course on photography. From film to digital. I'll cover all of that as much as I can. But that 4th year we did some color. And I have everything I need besides the space to have a dark room. I got all the chemicals. I have the developing trays. I have several enlargers. I have a reel-to-reel film editor as well for video. I think I have more than one of those too. I have a studio light that has a magnetic ballast. I picked that up from Helix Photography in the city of Chicago. That was a day I went before class. So in college, I also, like my last 2 years, I took some black and white photography again. So I have like 6 years of film classes, of photography classes, working with film cameras. And, yeah, one day before class, I decided to go to Helix to pick up some film, and turned out they were having a 75% off liquidation sale for closing. So I went up to the second floor. They had film production, like movie production, studio lighting. And I was looking for something that would recreate like a headlight at night in like rural farmland, and if you were to like be looking at headlights of a car through corn stalks. So I wanted something really powerful, and they had a studio light like that. I want to say the sticker price on it was like, what was it? I think it was $2,800, and I got it for $700. But it's in this just giant production casing. The housing is just this big square block. The light itself, that box is bigger than the magnetic ballast box, but there's two boxes. The one that has the light in it, it's about 80 pounds. The magnetic ballast box is about 130, 140 pounds. And when you power that thing up, it takes several minutes for it to get to its full intensity of light. And I powered it up one night up in Wisconsin on a property out there, one of my friends' houses. And their house is on a lake. Like, so there were houses all around the lake too. But we were able to point this light up in the sky. And once it got to the full brightness, we pointed it down across the lake, and it was hitting the other side of the lake. It was hundreds of feet. Hundreds. It was like a spotlight. You could see all the bugs flying around way up in the sky past the trees. It was quite something. It literally looks like daylight with that light. And again, like the housing of it, it's probably like this big. I have a photograph of me holding it, like a giant cannon. But that was a cool acquisition. It just sucks that Helix Photography closed like that. I think it was originally a rental light, and since they were closing down the store, they put that up for sale with the sticker price. It was $2,800 and then 75% off. So I was happy with that. And I also picked up this, I don't know what it was, like, I want to say 2 foot wide developer paper. Incredible. Just incredible stuff. And that's for large format printing. So that's where you take your enlarger. It's normally pointing down, and you could flip it 90 degrees so that it projects onto a wall, and then that's how you develop this larger format photo paper. But you have to do the math and everything with the timing of how long the light's exposing everything, the intensity of the light. It's a science within itself that, yes, Jason was saying that a lot of people haven't even touched film that are around our age. It sucks. It's just the way it is. But yeah, that I've had that photo paper for 13 years now. 12, 13 years. And I never opened it. And I've kept it in stored cool conditions. I have all the equipment I need to open a darkroom, but I don't have the space to put it in right now. And my original intention was to use that large format photo paper, but now might be a better idea to just sell it so someone else can use it before it goes bad. Might actually do that. I'll see what the next several weeks bring in. That's what I got, 3 weeks to think about whether I want to sell that or not. But most of the other darkroom stuff for photography I'm going to hold on to for quite a long time. I don't think I'm going to get rid of that. I've picked up several people's personal darkroom equipment collections, and I've condensed them into my own. So with those types of acquisitions, I don't get rid of a lot of what I get from them. A lot of it's in really good condition. And yeah, I just think it's worth having. Because thankfully, as of right now, there's still 35mm still photography reels and rolls that are still manufactured. So there's still some use for it in the future. But for a while there, especially 12, 13 years ago, Kodak was starting to just cut entire divisions of their film production. So like they got rid of Kodachrome, which is really rich, contrasty colors of like the finished format was slides for Kodachrome. And you could look some of those photos up. But the clarity of that film was so rich. If you knew what you were doing with exposure and everything when you were not only taking the photos, but also having them developed the proper way, good photographs from those rolls, even if you shot them in the 70s, they look today as if they were just made today as well. Not taking into account like the clothing and just the era, the periodness of the era. If you were to have something that was very generic, like a brick wall with art on it, something like that, like it's timeless. So Kodachrome was able to really not make anything look aged unless there was stuff in there like clothing and hairstyles that would give away what time period it was from. But like you have like backyard photos of like dogs and stuff and children playing. Like that stuff looks like it was taken today. But this is on Kodachrome film, and a lot of it's from back in the 70s. And you could even use it like in the 90s, and the stuff from the 70s and the 90s, if you developed it the right way, it would look very similar. But Kodak got rid of a lot of their film production. They cut down a lot. Some, like a lot of the specialty film. And yeah, as a result, the public lost access to a lot of this. I think there was only one. So, okay, I have one Kodachrome roll left that's unused in my fridge. But I don't know if there's a place left in the world that develops Kodachrome film. The last time I looked into it, there was a place in California you could ship your roll off to that they'll develop it there, but it was like an exorbitantly high price to develop it. But I was able to get one roll when I heard they were getting rid of when they were discontinuing production of that. So the roll's probably still good, but I only have one shot to use it. So when I do get around to using it, I would have to have dug into research again on how to use it so that I don't mess it up. That'd be the worst case scenario. I load it all up and I have the settings wrong on the camera, and then the richness of the colors don't come through in the same way. Oh yeah, Jay? Jay says Shutterbug and Santa Rosa would most likely do the Kodachrome. I'll have to look into that. I'll make a note. I've actually heard of Shutterbug. Yeah, but the last time I looked, it was someplace in California, so that might actually be it, Jay. Yeah, Kodachrome, I don't know how they did it, but they turned that roll of film into slides. Slide positives. And some of them that I've seen from others, like there's actually ones for the previous mayor of the town I live in. He used to be the longest serving mayor. He ended up going to jail for corruption, unfortunately. But he was like 54 years or something like that as mayor. Or 47, something like that. He was around 50 years as mayor. But when I was at the museum doing work over there, the president of the museum at the time had Kodachrome slides from like the entire career and life of that mayor that he wanted me to go and transfer to digital for him at some point. That project never followed through. So that's something that I'll have to look into again. Maybe I'll do that for them eventually. Yeah, I don't like that I didn't do that. I did a lot of media conversion for the museum. We used to have like a live music hall here. It was called the Mill Run Theater. They had audio reels all in 2 different boxes up on the 3rd floor. Never touched, never converted until I came through there. I ended up getting I had to get 2 different reel-to-reel players. The first one didn't produce any sound, so I had to get a second one. And that was on my dime. Then, through all that volunteering, I eventually got paid for that work, and I converted all of the Mill Run audio tapes that they had to digital. And now that's all in the village government database that's connected to the museum because there's some sort of collaboration there with that. So they have it on their digital cloud drive now in perpetuity. Whereas before they didn't. And I'm solely responsible for making that possible. Alright, Jay, you have a good one. Jay says he's got to go. I'll catch the rest later. Hey, Ivy. Good to see you. Ivy, you've been popping in a lot. Thank you for being here. And Joel says, I'm back in the house, y'all. Just had to sort my horses out. Been down farm for a bit. That's cool, Jay. Thank you for... Yeah, Jay and Joel... You've been real consistent on being here on the stream. I appreciate it. I'm just going down memory lane now with all this film production stuff. But yeah, I did work with that museum for several years. And over time, it eventually, once I finished the reel-to-reel stuff, that ended up completing my work there. Because then they got new people and the dynamics changed. And there was a weird energy in that building. The building's the original Cook County Sheriff's building. And there's records of Al Capone having been kept in the jail there at one point. And I think Babyface Nelson too. And there was like some trap houses over around here. Speakeasies here in Niles where Capone operated out of. They look like farmhouses with enclosed porches. There's one in particular I took photographs of. It was kind of getting run down at the time when I took the photos. I think it's still there, but I haven't gone in that area anymore the past several years. That'll probably be stuff I look into also in some of my future videos. I got all of this history, these books on Cook County, some of like the corruption in the politicians. I also have a book about the mob and also architecture history in Chicago. I got a lot of that type of content I'd like to get into at some point. But all in due time, when it's appropriate. It took quite a long time for me to get going with the Bermuda Triangle stuff and Coral Castle too. Like I had 2 years where I just didn't touch any of that content. And the Bermuda Triangle book I had for even longer than that. But I think that's a common theme with a lot of people's personal libraries. You pick up books, you intend to read them, and you eventually get around to them. But some of them sit on the shelf for like 10 years before you even get around to them. And I know that's not the same for everybody. I get consumed with doing stuff on the computer, so I don't really get around to physical books as much. So that's why I like doing these deep dives. I'm able to not only give you a nice presentation in video format, but we are also reading physical books. So if you're listening to this channel, you're able to get reading done, right? You're getting reading done by listening to me. But it's all good. I'm not here to judge. Reading used to make me very sleepy. I have astigmatism in this left eye here. So I think when I'm doing these lives, I'm reading like pretty far away. But when I'm reading on my own, it's like really close up. And I think that makes my eyes tired. And a lot of the time in the past, I would get through 10, 15 pages, and then I'd just knock out and go to sleep. But on these deep dives, reading it like from this distance, I could read 20, 25 pages. So I think that does help, considering that there's a football shape in my eye. I don't know what's going on with that. I think you can get it fixed with LASIK, but I don't have the money to do that. Joel says, "You're welcome, my friend." Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Joel. And Texas says, "Same. Reading makes me sleepy, especially homework when I was a teen." Yeah, same here. I really despised reading before. And now, it's funny, post-high school, I used to not even have a collection of books. I just had the required reading from indoctrination system I was put through. A lot of it made me despise reading because of the types of teachers I had. And don't get me wrong, I've had some excellent teachers, but in the Catholic school system, I got a lot of shit thrown my way. I was one of the rebels of my class. I was in the largest class, so it had close to 50 people split between two different teachers from preschool through 8th grade. 10 years of Catholic school. And it was basically once we all hit puberty in 4th, 5th grade, that's when we all started having trouble with authority and all that. So I'd get pulled aside a lot. I'd rebel, not doing homework and all that junk. I'd voice my opinion. I'd get in trouble. I'd get sent to the principal's office and got the write-ups. You know, they're trying to correct your behavior and all that bullshit. And then in high school, it was the same way. They'd try to stomp out originality for conformity. And thankfully, by high school, I wasn't putting up with that bullshit anymore. So, I was getting into trouble pretty much even more through that. But, you know, doing the photography and then broadcasting in the second half of high school, it kept me out of trouble. I didn't drink or do drugs at all until, college? So I also attribute that to me still having my sharps up here. I didn't fry my brain in high school doing cannabis back then. Hold on here. Texas is saying a lot. Texas says, I didn't see any point in studying aside from passing the year. Yeah, pretty much same here. Do what was required of you. Like, it was so soulless. The incentive wasn't there for the creative minds. Texas says it would help me to stuff my brain with trivia. Quote, but you get a good job, unquote. People said. I took it for BS. Yeah. I mean, look at this. My last year of high school, I got convinced that I should go to college. I went to college. Then my third year, I had to take time off. And that was due to my drinking problem, I guess you'd say. Because that got way out of hand in college. Way out of hand. And so I needed to work and make some money, so I did that for a while. I got back into college after that, after taking a semester off. And then I finished up my time at Columbia College. So I didn't end up graduating with the class I went in with. But does that really matter? I don't even think it matters at this point. We know the school system's a bunch of bullshit now. I went to college. I'm not in my field the way that I envisioned I would be. If part of the requirement was to moving to Los Angeles to get work, like, that was never my intention. I was never going to move out to Los Angeles. I wanted to be able to get work here. And no matter where I tried to apply, I wouldn't get work. So I was living the gig life for a majority of the past 12 years. Just gigging, doing stuff off of Yissilmissil Productions under my personal name. People would hire me for me. I was my own boss. I've never liked taking direction from other people, which is, I mean, I'm a leader by nature, so I would rather give people directions than take directions. Because you see, I have a vision and a creative mind. And I'd rather uplift people instead of talk down to them. But I heard the other day in some of the reels I was looking at, because that's practically all I have time for these days, is scrolling through these 1 minute to 5 minute reels. One of them said, good leaders create other leaders. And that's what I would like to do. And I think I'm doing that. It's just a longer process the way I'm approaching this. But I'll get where I want to be one day. I want my own film studio. I want to be able to grow new filmmakers through my own studio. They could pass through. They don't have to stay there that long, but they'll learn things from working with me. I want to be able to teach others how to work together as a team, as part of a crew, how vital it is for each person to be there. I want to be able to teach this younger generation how important it is to work with other human beings. Yeah, Texas Learney says, I feel like bad leadership is the norm. Unfortunately, it is. Many of the wage jobs that I've worked at for food, the food industry, the movie industry, movie theaters. I've worked at several movie theaters. I've worked at several burger places. One of my first jobs was Dairy Queen. I've worked at Potbelly. I worked at Meatheads for a short time. That ended with bad leadership too. They had a new person coming in. He was a regional manager at some other like restaurant chain, and the dude ended up doing some real sick shit in the walk-in freezer with me. Nothing sexual or anything. He basically took a knife out that was on a cutting board in the walk-in freezer, and I guess he assumed I had more of a responsibility there than I did, because I was just a dishwasher. I was the order taker, so I was in the back getting some extra ingredients for the food makers up front, for the cooks. And he walks into the walk-in freezer with me, and he starts going off on me like it's my responsibility that the walk-in freezer wasn't organized. So he just straight up is like, and if it's not this way, how I want it. And then he picks up the knife off of the cutting board, and he's like, this is gonna be your job. And I'm just like this traumatized me. So I never went back. I complained to HR about it. The guy got fired the next day, and I never went back. HR is like, are you still coming in? It's like, what the fuck? And then I had a repeat of that similar "Are you still coming in?" question when I was working overnight security back in what year was it? Like 2018. This was the day before I was going to start a day job after working overnight security at a golf course. And I had fallen asleep while driving. during the day. And thankfully I was okay. No one else was involved in an accident with me falling asleep. But I called the overnight security job after all that happened. I busted 2 axles on the vehicle. I was pretty shaken up. So I called the overnight security job, called one of my managers. I'm like, hey, I just got into a pretty bad accident. And they asked, are you still coming in? Can you take an Uber? And that impersonality from just that one question told me these guys are so out of touch. They have no humanity. I don't ever want to be back. I'm like, you know what? I contacted them back because this eventually led into text messages. It might actually have been text messages, the whole thing. But I told them, you know what? That was like really tone deaf. That was out of touch. You weren't even concerned about my well-being or any of the trauma that I may have incurred. You just wanted my body there to be on shift. So consider this my resignation. Like, I'm not coming back. And this, I've said this to other places where I've worked that didn't respect me or my time. Movie theaters. One of the movie theaters, I'm not going to name them, but they're operating under a different name now. They have the same management there. It's 3 obese lesbians. And they were man-haters. They would have me... And I found this out from my friend that used to eavesdrop, sit in the office, hear what they used to talk about. They used to have me work with... Like, they'd have me close with another woman on the payroll, on like my employee, and they did it just to see how uncomfortable I would be working with them. And spoiler alert, I was fine with it. Nothing happened because I'm not like that. But they thought like I'd be like emasculated. And them being these social justice warriors that are managers, it's like, it created monsters. Like, these things weren't even people. I'm sorry. And they are still employed in the industry, and I'm not. So what does that tell you? There's your diversity hires right there. They got the alphabet group all up in these top paying jobs, and here I'm begging, please don't take my YouTube channel away. Like, you see where we're at here? But I think all of these dynamics will shift. We're gonna get to a different place in due time. We're going to take the power back. I feel right now is like a cooling off period. And in the next several years, when content creation is seeked out and preferred over AI and the possible collapse of AI, you know, over time, people are going to notice that human content creators are worth much more than any AI models will be. I know some of this new AI that came out where it has people talking in front of a camera. Like, there was one I saw of, like, if Moses was live streaming from the Bible and all that. He's, like, walking with his phone and stuff. Out of all of those clips, the voice is so monotone. There's no there's no throat clearing. There's no voice breaking. There's no personality with the AI stuff. So I think that's all going to be coming to the surface eventually. People are going to notice that, oh yeah, that's AI. There's only a 5 or 10 second clip of this. Like, how authentic is it? We might have to start doing like the whole different perspective thing. Or like, I've seen back on these message boards, they used to write down on a piece of paper like the date, like, here's the date, here we go, here's today's date and the time and the location I'm in, and here's my name, and this is really me. And then you have like the live interaction too, which I know the AI can't do yet. And I say yet because they're probably going to try to advance it that way. Where it's like you're talking to an AI model and you're like, okay, AI, write on your piece of paper these words and put it in your own handwriting. They can't even get like language down yet. So like you've seen in a lot of these AI photographs, all the text is like jumbled because they can't figure it out yet. And the same thing with hands. They can't figure out hands yet. The intricacy of all. You'd think that these AI models would have all of these medical textbooks and everything ingested into them, but they don't. So the AI doesn't know about all the interior bodily structures of the hands and how they're used. So that's where they fail. Along with the voice inflections. Everything's completely flat in this current new release of AI models, where it's saying like, oh look, we can recreate movies of different eras. I think it's like Google something, like the third model of Google AI, where they're showing like people from the 1950s, people from all these different eras and different clothing, and they're like, oh, we can talk now, we can, yeah, oh, this is great, blah, 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 blah. They're all soulless. They don't have a soul. They're not people. They're not actors. They're not going to take away jobs. Maybe in Hollywood they will. You know, Hollywood's going so much down the tank. I wouldn't be surprised if they just start making films out of AI or through the use of AI. We already know that first Avengers movie, in the last like major city battle sequence, they used an iPhone to film some of that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just generate an entire movie out of AI and be like, look at what we can do. But you're only going to be able to get so far with that. After like 10 films, it's going to get real old real fast. People are going to strive for originality and creativity, and you won't get that with AI. So I'm not concerned about my spot in content creation. Eventually I'll have to use the green screen backdrop so that I can do cutout of myself without having the backdrop here. Because you can still see the square of the video frame on this. I'd love it for just to be a cutout of me with no background. So I'll play around with that at some point in the future. But I have 3 different backdrops. I've only been using the black backdrop for all of my shows. I got a white backdrop, I got a green backdrop. And yeah, I'll get around to using those in due time. But yeah, the AI models are just real limited in its capacity, and people realize the hype will fade and we'll get back to hiring people to do these video projects. And all will be good with the world, right? As good as it can be. But I want to create content that inspires people. And I used to not like saying the word content, but that's what this is. We're creating content. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody's comfortable doing it. And I have my background in public speaking. So I'm comfortable in this realm. I can be talking to one person, I can be talking to 1,000 people. Doesn't bother me. You'll always have that heart flutter moment. It's because you're alive. That'll never go away. You could limit it over time after getting comfortable talking in front of audiences and all that, but it'll always be there. Even if just for a moment before you go on stage to give a speech. It's just, it's a part of life. It's that anticipation. You have to get over whether people are going to judge you or not. People are always going to judge you. You just have to tune that out. And I'm sure we all know of people that can bullshit audiences for hours on end and not miss a beat. I call those people time sinks, where people invest a lot of time into listening to the bullshit, and then once they find out that what they've been getting is bullshit, they realize they've wasted their time, or they poured all their time down a sink drain. But again, I'm more toward that line of thinking that no time is wasted. There's lessons to be learned in everything we do. Every experience we have has purpose. If you fail at something, what did you learn from that experience? And how much are you willing to grow from that? Texas Learning says, first time I got into SCE, I was a bit shaky. Next time I was completely fine. What's SCE? Let me know what that is in the chat, Texas. Oh man, we've been going over 2 hours now. I didn't expect to do that again. Oh, spiritual encrypted encounters, yeah. Oh, really? That's awesome. When were you a guest on the show? Just generally, I'll try to look those up and watch them. Abe does a lot of shows, and so I can't get around to watching every one. But whenever I'm watching, I try to watch on Tuesdays and Thursdays because of the open mic night, and then I get invited on. And then those shows, I used to say, oh, if you're going to have me on the show, it's going to go over 3 hours, and now we've gone 6 hours twice. Oh, it's 2 weeks ago? Okay. I'll go look that up. Yeah, Abe and Jesse are good guys. They have a lot of life experience to share. And, that's part of... I view them as peers. Oh, you're going to link me. All right, cool. Thank you, Texas. A lot of the people I hang out with are older than me. but I view them as my peers. So while there's that whole respect your elders thing going on, I also view them as my equals. Because we're all here trying to figure out life together. Like, we're all here at the same time. So, beyond, like, patriarchal hierarchy and all that, outside of family, if you're 20 years older than me, 20 years younger than me, I still approach conversations as equals. If you understand what I'm talking about, like the topics I'm talking about, it doesn't really matter what age you are. As long as you're willing to go on these journeys with me, then it's just the way I operate here. Yeah, I got more comfortable over time too, going on Abe's show. Like I said, it's like that all the time. You're always going to have that. It's more of like a sense of anticipation. You get that little heart flutter moment and it goes away. But once I got comfortable being on Abe's show, he lets me talk, doesn't interrupt, so I'm able to get more of my thoughts out. And there was a time there where it was like I've been so conditioned to being interrupted. And this was before doing these Let's Talks and my deep dives and all that. It was just such a long time where I'd always get interrupted mid-sentence. I'd never get to finish my thoughts on things. And in the past, I've done stage productions where I've been the actor. I've had paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of monologues, all memorized and staged out. And beyond that, if I was sharing my own thoughts, it's like at public board meetings, you got 3 minutes to get all your information out. But on here, look, I've been going over 2 hours just talking. No interruptions. No one needing to get their point of view in before I'm finished speaking. And I know some people can't help that. I mean, like I said, it's a learned behavior. People have just been that way their whole lives, and it's unfortunate sometimes you deal with people that don't let you finish your thoughts. And it happens all over the place. It's not just one individual person. But on Abe's channel, Abe lets me just free flow. He lets me have the floor. So in him doing that, it allowed me to express my opinions on a lot of the spiritual encrypted stuff that I wouldn't share in other places. Yeah, it's like I really think the whole interrupting talking thing is part of our indoctrination growing up. It's built in to like make you conform. And a lot of it as adults, it happens subconsciously. So I do my best when I have guests on here on this channel. I do my best to let them have the floor, but I also guide the conversation. I try to keep everyone on topic. And so I'm getting better at hearing when people are starting to like burn out with what they're explaining or talking about. They start having these longer pauses, so that's when I interject and be like, okay, that's awesome. So how about this? Like, what about this aspect of this topic? Let's hear what you have to say about that. And then having that lead in by the host helps the guest dig further into their memories if they're explaining a life experience, and the recall gets activated and they're able to go and talk about a lot more than if the host wasn't there at all. So that's why I like the dynamic of interviews. Texas says, "Oh damn, I had the exact same thing with being interrupted. But the interrupting felt personal because only I was being interrupted. Meanwhile, my siblings could just speak without interrupting." Yeah. And I watched some old home videos of holidays, family gatherings. I see these different dynamics today that I wasn't even aware of back then. Like something simple as like opening presents around the holidays. Whenever it came to me, there was a time when my cousins were just trying to do their own thing while I was opening presents. I'm watching a video of all this, right? So my family was recording this. They would sit in front of me, in front of the camera, and block me like opening my stuff. And it probably wasn't intentional, but it was like the complete disregard of giving attention to what I was doing. But they wanted all the attention on them when they were opening their gifts. And there was a theme like that went on as time progressed, and really, I don't talk with them anymore. That set of cousins, I don't talk to them at all. The 2020 bullshit ended up dividing a lot of the family on that. So it's been like 3 years. We had a wedding for one of my younger cousins. That was the last time I saw them. And thankfully he asked me to be one of the groomsmen. So I thank them for that. They're still good people for the most part. Right? We all have our flaws. But the growing distant thing, you have to make an effort to keep family together and close. But sometimes it's healthy to have the distance for a longer period of time. I know when I was doing that overnight security job, there were family gatherings of, like, I met this one family. They're like, "Oh, we have reunions every 2 years. So we plan different locations to, like, basically have a vacation / family reunion where they all stay at the same hotel and they all go do stuff for like a set number of days. And that's it. Otherwise, they're all spread out throughout the country, around the world, and they don't really speak beyond that. So they plan their vacations as family reunions. And I thought that was a pretty cool concept. But not everybody can do that. Or not everyone has that that conviction to plan for stuff like that. And back when I heard about that, when I was doing the security job, they that whole concept of only meeting family every 2 years, it seemed really wild to me. Like, it seemed like such a long time. But that was before all of this PSYOP stuff went into overdrive. With the 6 feet apart. It really damaged our society almost beyond recognition. Oh yeah, Texas. Texas says he's referring to growing up with 2 sisters. Yeah, I can see how that is. Being interrupted all the time. Texas says, I did point out several times, but got promptly ignored. So when I didn't want to interact, it was, of course, my fault. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Like, choosing who you spend your time with. If people around you aren't going to listen to what you have to say, then They're showing you that they don't respect you or your time or your words. They don't respect your perspective. But if it's family, you have to consider that in the way that you make your decisions on things. Family gets much more of a pass than extended friends and all that. Like if you met someone on a job site and you became friends that way, but then you found out stuff you didn't like about them, it's a lot easier to walk away from that than if it's your own family. It's like with a lot of these people that perform unspeakable things, such as murder and mass murder. I was watching some of these videos of these police investigations into some of these cases, and even the siblings of those that were murdered would, by their own family, by the way, they would say, "We still love you." And I think that's so powerful. Even doing one of the worst things possible, but the family is still letting that person know that they are loved. That's a whole different subject too. But I just thought that was fascinating. The power of family runs deep. And in a way, it's like you're being tested to forgive the way Heavenly Father, Creator, and Jesus Christ would forgive. And no, I'm not saying Jesus Christ was nice just to be nice. And I mean, he went into the temple and whipped all the usury. Get out of here with your coins, with your clipped coins. Yeah, Jesus had a violent side too. People don't want to talk about that. But it was not in the way of taking others' lives, which I'm 100% against. There's no need for that. But family and family forgiveness does run deep. You're able to show that you love another person in many different ways when it comes to family. Is there a part of you? And I think that just shows the spiritual power, the genuinity of the soul to be able to forgive something as unforgivable as a family member taking another family member's life. And I don't wish that upon anybody. But there's like whole YouTube channels covering all of these different topics. I think there's one called Midwest Crime. That's the one I was looking at yesterday. One of them, it was a story of like all these signs were there. There was a guy that made videos on the early days of YouTube. He was just like flaunting guns, talking about killing animals and stuff, and like all the red flags were there, but everyone ignored it. And then eventually, like, he did the worst imaginable thing. And the thing was, he was like, I didn't wake up that day thinking that I was going to do that. But you could see in all of these videos, like, he wasn't well put together, and he was talking a lot about it's like these demons take over people's minds and bodies. It's like what we were talking on Abe's show about, like the abuse of substances opens up yourself to these demonic entities. And a lot of these different cases, like the last one I watched, this woman smoked crystal meth and then beheaded their ex-boyfriend. It's like, holy crap, dude. She left it in a bucket. And this is some place up in Wisconsin. And then her recount with the investigators at the police department, just totally callous, cold, laughing about it. No remorse. And oh yeah, that was pretty messed up of me, wasn't it? Ha 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 ha. Like completely disassociated from the horrible act that they committed. And they ended up going to jail for life. When they were in court, they physically attacked several of their own prosecutors. So like their court-appointed lawyers, she'd like lunge at them and start attacking them in the courtroom while she was like getting her hearings done for her sentencing. And I think the court proved that she was mentally, cognitively functional to stand trial. So she was trying to say she was insane and all that, but the court said differently. They're like, no, you know what you're doing. And you're very coherent, but you're still like attacking people, so like you're going to jail for life now. Let's see here. Let's check the chat. Texas says there's a difference between being good and being harmless. Yeah. Well, when you're being good, you're being effective. And I know good and bad can be subjective to people, but I mean, we're talking about morals here. Texas says the familial connection is real. Yeah. He also says some families think anything flies, but cutting contact is war crime. Yeah. Well, they're also, you have these certain family, like a lot, I know there's probably a lot of family members that are victims of abuse. The abusers are usually the ones that think it's unreasonable for you to cut contact. But you need to surround yourself with those that match your energy. And you don't want to be in the low vibrational energy of like the arguing and all of that. And that's why I say sometimes distance is a good thing. And family dynamics are different for everybody. Joel says, been in the army. I've seen a lot of bad things happening, bro. And I've been ordered to take the threat out, if you know what I mean. But like, bruv, Abe, we have to follow orders. Yeah. Thanks for your service, Joel. It's a selfless thing. But also, I think the government has subjected too many of us for too long to essentially carry out the will of the banks. A lot of these wars haven't been for like the valor of our own countries. It's all been monetary for the most part. But when you get down on the ground, boots on the ground type of stuff, it's like a region by region basis. So I'm not trying to take purpose away from your time serving, but I'm being realistic about the funding behind a lot of these conflicts But like if you're stationed at a certain area, like Abe was, or you yourself, Joel, it's more of a like you're knowing you're doing your duty. Like you know what you signed up for. You're gonna follow orders. Some of them you may not agree with. I know I'm well past the point of serving for anything in that capacity. I think I considered it at one point, but I don't think I would have been able to make it with the vision problem, or this vision. Joel says I like to keep to myself. It's better that way. Yeah. And you know, time alone is not necessarily a bad thing. I think we said on last week's show with Monica when she was in the chat, being alone doesn't have to be lonely. Sometimes self-isolation is a good thing, as long as it's what's the word? In moderation. Texas says I can do my own spiritual journey much better when I'm alone. Yeah, and a lot of these things, a lot of these journeys we were on, we have to walk alone for a lot of it, especially if it's during a growth period. Like, I would say there's several journeys I'm currently on. One of them in particular I haven't even shared. But so far it's going really well. And it's a lot of psychological stuff. A lot of willpower, self-discipline, self-accountability. I know one of the journeys I shared that I'm working on to be better with is driving out in public and not cussing at other drivers while I'm by myself. And if I do cuss about the way that I think people are driving, then I ask Heavenly Father, Creator, for forgiveness for what I just said. And then I follow up with asking for His protection over me. And during that process of that journey, I'm learning to be more patient with other people on the road. And I need to be, especially considering I'm going to be driving over 800 miles the next month. Jason asks if Brenda lost her channel. I don't think so. It's still here, isn't it? No, it's still here. She's gonna be live tonight at 9 o'clock. So hopefully I'll be on that show with her. If her internet doesn't go out again. I try to encourage Brenda to do more shows during the week, but I know she's helping other shows now. So she's having her time split up between doing that and running her own channel. And she's only been doing the YouTube channel for a little over a year now. But it was like January of 24. But she's made so many strides ahead More so than a lot of other people in the space here. Like, she's a fast learner. She's a quick learner. She's able to adapt to a lot of things. She's able to use a lot of the current live streaming programs, and she catches on very quickly. So I've been trying to help her grow that channel. I want to see her hit 400 subs very soon. But I know due to her having her time split up and also taking care of her personal life, it's taken time away from her doing shows more frequently. And in turn, I think that's slowed down the channel growth. But she still has a lot more viewers live. And that's saying something. Like, you guys have really good following with her there. So I do try to be on her show as much as I can. And I like helping her out with that. And I do like talking with her and sharing ideas. And we're both strong individuals, so we tend to butt heads fairly often. But we know to let it go, to like water off a duck's back, so to speak. We noticed the verbal disagreement, and we just move on. We agree to disagree. Because we understand working together, we are going to butt heads, but at the same time, we are making each other better by working as a team. Alright, Jason, I'll link to the chat here right now. That's Brenda's channel. It's all still up. Joel says a lot of strange people driving on the road. Yeah. See, yesterday I had someone that was impatient with me, and this was just at a stop sign intersection. They peeled out after I made my turn. Jason says, hopefully my notification goes through. Yeah. Best thing I can do is say, oh, my chat just disappeared. That's weird. Best thing I could say is just show up at 9 Central Time and just wait it out. What the heck happened here? My OBS stopped showing me the chat. That's the first time that's happened. Joel says she's a good person. Yeah, Brenda is a good person. She's been through a lot too, personally. She's a survivor for sure. But I know she can thrive as well. In best case scenarios, that we all thrive together here. Joel says 2 minds is better than 1. Yeah. That's why I say, like, I'm a natural leader, but I do like putting a team together and helping people understand why teamwork is important. So that plays into that too. And you have to be open to ideas that are not your own. It gives you a different perspective on things. And I'm just speaking generally here. Yeah, no problem, Jason. Alright. I'm gonna call it for this show today. I thank all of you for being here again. It was good chatting. It was good talking. I like interacting with all you in the chat here and sharing my stories. I shared a lot of new stuff today that I haven't yet before, so I'm always looking to keep this constant and up to date with things. But I like reflecting on life experiences too, and how can we grow from, what can we learn from these experiences. So, but I try to keep all these shows under a certain time. I've been trying to keep it under 3 hours here, and we're getting really close to that. So I think I'm going to call it here now. But thank you all again for being here. Jason, Jay earlier, our first channel member, by the way. So he'll be getting that exclusive Smith video. Joel, we had Ivy here earlier. Jason, you said in the chat here, did you see the Frankenstein trailer? No, I haven't. I'm going to have to look at that. I'll take a note. That sounds interesting enough to me to take a look at the trailer for that. Why not? Thank you, Joel. Oh, and Texas, too. I haven't forgotten about you, Texas. I was trying to name off everyone in the chat here and got caught up by Jason recommending Frankenstein here. Yes, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And we'll be back live on the channel here 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday for Coral Castle. Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Central for Bermuda Triangle. Saturday for Chicago Film Industry at 11 Central. And again next Sunday for Let's Talk episode 11 at 11 Central. We're going to keep this running all the way until I go on my trip in the next 3.5 weeks from now. So we'll still be doing constant content throughout the week as we've been on this schedule up until that point. So probably until, I'd say, July 8th will be the last video until I take close to a 2-week break. But I will be back after that. But in the meantime, we got 3.5 weeks of doing shows 4 times a week. So, thank y'all for being here. And until the next one, class dismissed.